Hello and welcome to Grocer Pod. My name's Sean Kosednar. I'm coming to you from the 2026 Innovation Showcase. Today I'm joined by Andy Ruff from Loyalty Lane. We're going to be talking about how to make your loyalty program successful. Before we get to Andy, I want to remind you to please subscribe to Grocer Pod. Subscribing means new episodes will be downloaded for you each week. You can find Grocer Pod on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or any other platform you use to listen to podcasts. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
So last time I talked to you, you were with GiveX and now Loyalty Lane, but I hear that's actually one and the same.
Well, you know, that's the big news is for 15 years and almost all of our retailers here in AWG have always known us as Loyalty Lane. But then we went through a couple of M&As, mergers and acquisitions, and, you know, we felt like we were getting a little too far away from our core business and what really matters to us. So our president, Bill Gray, bought the company back and we're back as Loyalty Lane. This is just where we should be.
Good. I never really gotten used to calling you GiveX, so now I'm back. Loyalty Lane.
I'm glad that you didn't lose track of the Loyalty Lane lexicon there because that's really our identity.
And you're here talking about how retailers can make their loyalty program successful. So what are, just the first couple of things that retailers can be doing?
Okay, and it really comes down to fundamentals. And I once worked with a loyalty company years and years ago, and the CEO of that company said, Andy, what is the most important aspect of this program? How do we make it successful? And I said, well, you've got to start with your cashiers. The cashiers are front and center of everything you do. Are they asking for the card or phone numbers now? You can tell how long ago that was because it was all cards. But anyway, are you collecting points to get free items? Are you downloading digital coupons? A real positive question to the customers will either get them to enter their phone number or go, no, what are you talking about? And give them a chance to say, oh, we got this amazing rewards program. So first and foremost, checkers. So it's kind of a three-step process in my mind to make a program successful. One is getting as many people signed up as you can. How do you get people signed up? Checkers is one. The other is to have value. Why would somebody join your rewards program? It's probably going to start with points or a fuel program or some reward that they're getting cash back for shopping with you. But that's not where it ends. That's really just the means to the end. That's the value you're giving the customer so that they will enroll. And a lot of retailers stop right there. We got to have a rewards program. We're done. No, you've only just begun because the reason you're doing all that is to get the customer data. Because if you're not using the customer data for all sorts of different things, then you're completely missing all the success metrics that are associated with having a loyalty program in the first place.
Yeah, I would think that using that data is also what's going to make it better for the customer, because if you're using that data, then now you're going to provide the customer something that they're actually going to want, and then they're going to shop more, and then you're going to get more data and you're going to be able to help them out more, and it's just going to kind of snowball.
That's absolutely true. And it has to be good data, right? Because a lot of customers will have 50%, 70% of sales on the card, let's say. So you got to ask yourself, well, what do I have 50% of, right? Do I have 100% of the sales of 50% of my customers, or do I have 70% of sales of 70% of my customers? Because if it's the latter, your data is kind of incomplete, and you may think that they're a lost customer. You may think they're a low spending customer, so you promote to them to try to increase their spend levels, and they're already there. So good data is really the starting point. But you're absolutely right. What you're talking about is personalization. And that personalization can be everything from recognition of being a top shopper. It could be, hey, here's digital coupons for items that you buy, which is something that we do in conjunction with AWG, is sending out a personalized coupon email that is tied to the items they buy. So they're very relevant, easy to clip, easy to redeem. So yes, the quality of that data is just as important as the quantity. And another step of that now is with all these amazing AI tools that are coming out. AI it's artificial, right? It's completely dependent on the quality of the data going in.
And it's interesting that you bring that up because I hear that there's a partnership with Breeze AI, which, big news coming out of this showcase is the partnership that they have with AWG in general. So talk to me about that.
Okay, well, Smart Meals is a recipe generator based on items that not only that the retailer carries. So it's not just kind of a generic AI that you go, hey, give me a recipe on ChatGPT. It's really tied into the grocer. What do they have and what can they make and add those items to the list? And that's about as far as I can take that because I'm not the one on that team, but I'm going to send them over to do a podcast on that because I think it's a really, really cool thing to do. Like right back to something you said a minute ago, relevancy. And it can't be just relevant to the customer, it also be relevant to the store.
And I have talked to Tal and that and that team, and sharp listeners of Grocer Pod will have already heard that. But what I think is great is that it is tied with the loyalty program, so it can know what the customer has already purchased, either today, 2 weeks ago, in history, and it can develop recipes based on items that they've already bought. Like, oh, you bought this spice. There's no way you used a whole jar in the last 2 weeks, so you still have this at your house. Right. Here's a recipe that uses that. You don't even have to go and buy it because we know that you already have it. Right,
and also things that we know that you like and like to prepare because you buy it with frequency. Sometimes you'll hear on TV it's like an ad for investing in stocks or something. They always say, well, prior performance does not predict. Well, now we can get over that, right? Because we can say, we can make relevant suggestions on things that you might and try to predict the future.
What problems or issues are AWG retailers coming to your booth, during the show looking to solve?
That's a great question. And I think it goes back to something I started with, and that is I've got a rewards program. I feel like these points and these free items are costing me money. How do I deal with that? Well, a couple of things happen that I work with them on. The first is because a loyalty program is measured on a customer specific, transaction specific basis, they tend to look at these discounts transactionally rather than total store, right? I mean, when you have ad items, you're not measuring those markdowns transactionally. You're measuring them in terms of shrink, the total effect on gross profit. Whereas when you have a loyalty program, you can say, I gave Sean, a free gallon of milk or whatever your reward item was. And oh gosh, he only spent $100 and I gave, so it's so expensive. Well, first of all, it's not, because remember I said about a minute ago, 50% of what? Well, if it's 50% of your gross sales, then if you're giving 2% value, let's say, to the customer, that's already down to 1% total store, right? So look at it from a total store perspective, and don't look at straight as a transactional cost, because the part of that cost is the cost of getting good data. Right. So you have to kind of balance gross profit effects with marketing costs or advertising costs. So it's changing the thinking there. That's the first step. So they go, oh, okay, that's good to know. Are you using your customer data? Are you thanking your top shoppers? Are you recognizing them? Are you mining your data to see who used to be shopping with you, who's not now? Are you sending personalized coupons? Are you sending targeted promotions for new items? Or are you working with local vendors to get them better penetration into the... Just so many things you can do with that data that goes way beyond the 1% you might be giving away in product cost. You can't stop there, and you can't stop your thinking there either.
So it's 2026. What do you have to say to a retailer that comes to you and says, I don't need a loyalty program?
Say, okay, well, who's your best shopper? Who was a good shopper that stopped shopping with you in the last 30 days? What is the average transaction size? Or, hey, retailer, I got a question for you. What do you think is more important to your sales? Transaction size or trip frequency? And they'll go, well, we work really hard on transaction size. And I'll say, the data that you're going to find out is that from your lowest spending shoppers to your highest spending shoppers, the difference in transaction size is about 2x. So maybe $50 on the best shoppers and 25 on the lower end. Your trip frequency will be about 10x. Your best shoppers aren't necessarily those with the biggest baskets. It's those that come in the most frequently. So, Mr. Retailer, who are those people? Or who are the people that aren't doing that? I don't know. I can't measure that, right? I don't have a customer specific way of doing that. And then going back to what I was just talking about managing costs and generating positive ROI would be my answer to them. You've got to know, because Amazon knows everything about your customer.
Yeah. And like I said, it's 2026. The data is the most important thing. And we've been talking, all showcase, and we talk a lot about on Grocer Pod about, building community and, being a member of the community. And you have to do that. You have to humanize it. Right. But you also have to know like what you're humanizing. Right. And if all you are is like, oh, Andy's in my store. I know Andy. I talk to him every day, but I don't actually know like what he's doing here or how often he's coming. Like maybe I met him, but like that's nice. He comes back. I can have that conversation, but I can't really help my business too much. Make any decisions about my business without like really diving into like the details of what he's doing.
Right, and that's at the customer level too. And you just said business. There's also a business to run, and things are changing. Things are changing in terms of how manufacturers are distributing funds, and that's what the whole RMN program is all about. Taking advantage of the changes in the way that these marketing funds are being distributed. And if you're going to participate in that, and they're amazing programs, and it is the direction that these dollars are going to help your business outside of the customer specific aspects of it. And you got to have some sort of digital format to be able to even participate in that, at least digital coupons.
So, Andy, we've clearly just convinced everybody to join or start a loyalty program. What do they need to do to find out more about Loyalty Lane?
Well, the simplest thing would be just send an email to sales@loyaltylane.com, and we'll get back to you. We have pretty much three distinct teams. There's the technology team, which does an amazing job with the installs and making things work in the store. The sales team, of course, and then I'm on the success side. So getting you launched and talking about the things we've been talking about today, one-on-one, to say what's your store like, what are your challenges, what's working for you, and work on programs like that. So that's the success side. So once you send that email to sales@loyaltylane.com, you've just started down a real solid path of success.
I suggest that everybody send that email. I'll have a link to it in the show notes. Andy, thanks for joining me today.
Sean, thank you. And what a great show. It gets better every year, doesn't it?
It does. And thank you all for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe. That way you can stay up to date on all the latest things going on around AWG. And until next week, this has been Sean Kosednar with Grocer Pod.